Good day, everyone. It is currently the 1st of September 2011, and we continue to watch the system, Tropical Storm Talas via JMA. Not really too much change in intent in the last 24 hours as shown in the satellite. We are seeing a little bit more of organized around it, though, especially on the northwestern prairie. Some more convection starting to blow up with this system, and overall starting to get that centrifugal circular feel to it, as typical with tropical systems, vice what we have been seeing in the last few days, where northwestern portion has basically been completely torn off due to subsidence aloft here towards the north. Now, the reason why we're starting to get more circulation with this is due to this trough enhancing the outflow on the northern periphery here, as this moved over Japan here in the last 24 hours, as shown in this satellite imagery, basically visible and IR imagery combined. But moving to a different look at this is IR imagery as well, just showing the overall circulation with this. A lot of good inflow still coming in from the south, also overlaying JTWC's track on here, still making landfall anticipated near the Kyoto and Osaka region, right through here, just east of the inland sea, and also Shoku and much of the major cities of Hiroshima and Fukuoka down here over Kyushu. One may ask, what is going to cause this turn towards the north here? I also just put on this IR water vapor differential imagery and experimental imagery from Sims here, and this is just showing some of these upper level clouds here over in northern Japan and extending out over southern Korea. Now, this trough right in here is causing these upper level clouds is the main cause for this turn north. It's going to kind of grab it, and basically the storm's going to want to run downhill towards the area of low pressure. And this is further supported on this surface analysis from KMA, or the Korean Meteorological Agency. And what this is indicating is the area of high pressure over the East China Sea and the Yellow Sea over here towards the west. And also you have the area of high pressure just east of Honshu. And this is really going to run in between these two areas, and also by this trough in the upper levels, all extending all the way down here towards the south. Really, this troughing area, and here is the trough we're talking about. And this is also going to pull us off towards the north. Looking at the streamline analysis as well, this further supports it to take this track basically over Shikoku and then starting to recurve off towards the northeast over Hokkaido as it goes extratropical rather quickly. Also looking at the model guidance, that really kind of matches up with the streamline analysis, where the track of the storm goes over much Shikoku, just basically to the west of the Kyoto and Osaka region with all these model consensus, and then it starts to turn off towards the northeast as the system goes extratropical and follows that background flow with the westerly. So good news is that the model consensus is matching up with the streamline analysis and overall surface analysis on where the system should go. So basically everybody here in the Shikoku and southern Honshu and even eastern Kyushu should continue to closely watch the system. Could see some tropical storm force winds, and in localized and centralized areas, especially between funneling areas, could see some typhoon strength winds. Now, I do note this entire expanse of the region, basically from just south of the Kanto Plain, and even in some of the areas of the Kanto Plain all the way down to Kyushu, seeing tropical storm force winds, because the wind field on the system is rather massive. And this is indicated on the satellite derived winds, basically just showing winds above 20 knots all the way from the Bowen Islands down towards the Ryukyu Islands. I know we're missing the center of circulation here, but this imagery is still rather good at just showing the massive amount of wind field associated with the system. It is very expansive, even though it does remain rather disorganized, and the central part of the system is really exposed, and it's a huge eye, so that's actually pretty good in inhibiting the strength of the system. And I'll actually go back to the imagery and to explain more about why that is occurring, but really this imagery is good at showing this entire wind field. Now, this is a very zoomed in view of this eye, and just noting and actually extending over about 70 to 80 nautical miles across, basically here, just showing from this point to this point. And the reason why I say this is going to actually inhibit it is because a lot of these higher cloud tops, and I zoomed it in real close so you can kind of see this, is just only a little bit of a low-lying queue throughout this entire region here. Some mid-level clouds, but the higher cloud tops extend well away from the center of circulation. And what this means is that a lot of this latent heat at the surface is going to basically get lost into the atmosphere. Thus, the system cannot intensify due to the loss of that warm core low, or that heat in the midst of the system. If it was a little bit tighter and there was a lot more tighter of an eye on this system, it probably would gain more intensity just due to that main factor of that heat. But that's just a little note there, actually getting into the main factors of what's going on right now and the warnings and where the system's going to go from the official agencies. Starting off here with the radar, just showing a lot of these outer rain bands already making their way across Japan here. If we zoom in on Shikoku, looking at some thunderstorms already in that region. From northern Shikoku and just basically southeast of Osaka and Kyoto, seeing some higher cloud tops and thunderstorms blowing up here. But even up towards the northeast, towards the Kanto Plain and some of these wands up here to the northeast, just seeing some thunderstorms build in as well. Most of these are located on the eastern side of the Japanese Alps. A lot of it's getting hit by the orographic lifting here. But also on the western side, you're seeing some rain showers still up in this region due to that frontal system or that trough of low pressure we were talking about in the westerlies. So two systems interacting here, producing these rain showers across much of Japan currently. And here showing a screen capture of JMA's warning, just showing it's tracking off towards Osaka and Kyoto. Current pressure is 965 HPA. They're expecting this to max out at 65, gusting up to 95 knots now, vice 70 knots yesterday. So they're really only expecting a very weak typhoon out of this, the equivalent of a weak Category 1 hurricane for people watching this back stateside. But this is going to continue to track off towards the north and make landfall in this region. And even prior to landfall, due to the Japanese Alps, expecting a weakening on this system just due to land interaction. So if typhoon strength winds were to occur on this specific track right here, you're going to see them basically around the inland sea, especially due to lack of friction and also funneling going into this region. So Osaka could see some high winds just as it comes into in this region, and also just right along the coast. And speaking along the coast as well, there is high waves, thunderstorm, and gale warnings up and down the coast from the Kanto Plain, the Tokyo Wan, all the way down towards the inland sea. Basically, the right front quadrant of where JMA is expecting the storm to make landfall is all under these warnings. Still advisories up and down across the east coast of Japan here, all the way from Hokkaido down to Kyushu. You're seeing these advisories put up, but these warnings are already set in place through many of these coastal areas from the inland sea up towards Tokyo and the Kanagawa and Tokyo prefectures up here towards the northeast. And also, I do want to show JTWC, or the Joint Typhoon Warning Center's warning on this system as well, noting that they are matching up now with JMA's putting out, and also they're matching up with the intensity of JMA, maxing this at 65, gusting up to 80 knots, and also landfall near Kyoto and the Osaka region. And lastly, I actually do want to go on and talk about storm surge and precipitation with the system. In the right front quadrant is where you're going to see some storm surge possibly. Now, since the system is relatively weak, not expecting a large storm surge, but there is a potential of about 5 feet or above in some of the low-lying areas just due to the expansiveness on the system and a lot of fetch area coming across it, and also since the storm has been out here forever, almost about 2 weeks now. So you could see some storm surge in this region if the system does take this track. So it's just right along the coastal regions, anywhere from basically just Kyoto up towards some of these wands up here towards the northeast, and that's where the potential is. But the heaviest amount of precipitation is going to be in these mountains here along the Japanese Alps. Shikoku already gotten hit by a lot of precipitation early this year, and we all know that once these hit these mountains here, the orographic lifting could enhance it, and some of these inland villages could see some flooding. And I do want to go on the note that there is a lot of moisture in here. Actually, looking at the precipitable water in the atmosphere from Sims here, one of their analysis, just showing a massive amount of precipitation, or excuse me, moisture being sucked in from the south and the equatorial regions up here towards the north. On the northern portion, it is very dry air, and that's what was really keeping the system down in the last 24 to 48 hours. But now, looks like that dry air is kind of moved off towards the north, and you're starting to see more moist air wrap into the system. So this is going to bring even more rainfall to the coast of Japan. But that is all for today, everyone. Thanks again for watching. I do want you to continue to check JMA GTWC's warning on the system, as the storm has been very unpredictable at this time, swinging from left to right here over the last of basically 2 weeks. But we are expecting landfall the morning of the 3rd along the southeastern coast of Japan here, basically any northern Kyushu all the way up towards eastern Honshu throughout this entire area. And it is intensifying right now, so we're expecting a very weak typhoon just prior to landfall and then gradually dissipating. Those are the main facts with this, though. I do want to note I am also posting this at 28storms.com and also at storm2k.org, so please check out both of those sites. And thanks again. Stay safe out there, everyone, and continue to check back here at westernpacificweather.com for any newer updates. Thanks. Bye.